We are at the regular meeting of the Board of Trustees of the College of Sequoia Community College District. Today is November 13th. We are in regular open session. With regard to closed session, there are no reportable items. And so we will move to the Pledge of Allegiance, and Trustee Macareno will lead us tonight.
Please join me in salute. Ready, salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The next item is the announcement of an annual organizational meeting for next month. And so the annual organizational meeting of the Governing Board of College Sequoias will be held Monday, December 11th at 5 p.m. Here in the boardroom, and the address is listed there. With regard to public comment, any person may address the board at this time either on an agenda item that is obviously on the agenda or other matters of interest to the public that are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board. A maximum of 5 minutes is allowed for each speaker, with a maximum of 15 minutes unless extended by the board. So at this time, we'll take public comments concerning items on the agenda. If there's something on the agenda you would like to make a comment on, now would be your time from the audience standpoint. Seeing none. If there's any public comments concerning items not on the agenda, so something that we haven't put on the agenda or you haven't brought forward for the agenda, now would be the time. Seeing none, we will move to the board and executive staff reports, starting with Ms. Parker. We missed you last month, but you had a great representative, so thank you for arranging that. So would you like to give your report?
Yeah. This month has been pretty busy for us as students and Student Senate. We recently had our Halloween event, which was a really big turnout. I think mainly the reason why is because we had a dunk tank, and President Calvin got dunked in the dunk tank by our students for free.
Multiple times.
Multiple times. Some people really had it out for him. But it was a really big turnout.
What's that?
Must have been a big tank.
Yeah, it was. plenty big. Yeah.
But it was a really big turnout. Students were able to come talk to Student Senate for the event. There was a bunch of booths that we had throughout the event. But this was probably one of the bigger student turnouts that we've seen on campus for our events besides Club Rush. We also had our recent Veterans Day event where veterans from around Tulare County came and they were able to enjoy some free Red Robin. Students were able to talk to the veterans that were there on campus that day to learn about their stories. I personally was able to talk to a veteran named John, and he fought in the Korean War, and his story is very inspirational to me. And then an upcoming event that we have here on Visalia's campus is we have our Christmas movie night. I know we are in the month of November, but you can never not think about Christmas. It's getting close. So we will be projecting the movie The Polar Express for students for free. And then moving over to the report from Tulare from Michelle. In Tulare on October 11th, Fresno State's Jordan College of Agricultural Sciences and Technology, we're able to present transfer information to a full house of students wanting to transfer over to the Ag Department at Fresno State. There was a lot of students that were really excited about transferring over to Fresno State and being a future Bulldog. They also hosted its annual fall festival on October 25th, and there was a petting zoo there and a bunch of crafts, face painting, everything that you can practically find at a festival. Last thing is on November 2nd, they had a meet and mingle event, and meet is spelled MEAT. So I think that's a really good spin on it, where students were able to meet a bunch of employers in the ag department, and they were able to create connections to those employers so they can later think about getting a job in the respective career that they want. But other than that, that concludes my report for tonight.
Comments? Trustee Sherman?
No report.
Trustee Nunes?
Thank you. A couple weeks ago on a Friday, I can't remember the exact date, I attended the 10-year master plan symposium, I guess you'd call it, a very well organized event, broken down into so many folks per table, about 6 or 7. I was lucky enough to sit at the table with John Bratch, and he acted as our scribe to get down all our ideas and input into the system. So it was a good event. Later on, I received a request for a survey, which I readily completed. Before the meeting, I had the opportunity to walk over and walk through the, I think we call it the giant marketplace, a couple of blocks down the street. I missed the ribbon cutting ceremony, and boy, was I impressed with that facility. And I'm sure all the students that are in need of those kind of services are availing themselves to what's available there, which I was really impressed by the quantity and the quality of the food items. It's like a mini grocery store. Met the young man that runs that. I think his name is Jeremy. I can't remember his last name.
Yes, I'd just like to highlight 2 events that took place last week. The first Gen College Celebration I thought was excellent and well marketed and well attended. Wanted to give acknowledgement to Counselor Leah Velasquez and Career Services Coordinator Rosalia Rodriguez. They did an excellent panel, had a TikTok famous person there, Leo Gonzalez, and I even saw the promotion of it on Univision, so that was, I think it was well attended, but also well marketed, and not just for the students that attended, which got to network and have food and drinks and everything, but also outside that message, what COS is doing for our students, so it's excellent. The other thing I want to acknowledge is veterans, the celebrations, the event that took place with the Veterans Coordinator, Ashley Martinez, that she did, but also the, what I thought was real clever, the COS PACE Committee hosted their first door decorating competition, and I thought it was excellent. I really loved seeing that, and I imagine if I was a veteran and I'm walking through campus and here's a door, acknowledging their service, I think they would have felt really special. So I just wanted to acknowledge Ashley Jaramillo and Monica Paddock Yancey for their efforts to promote that, so it was excellent.
Attended a couple of things, as said as well. Won't repeat any of that, but we will move to the next area, which is the foundation report. Mr. Foster.
Good evening. I just have one item I'd like to report. It has to do with a rather large gift that we received from the California Bioenergy LLC. We received a $94,500 gift, and since our last meeting, and over the last 4 years, we've been working with California Bio, and they've been constructing and operating biodigesters at area dairies and collecting the methane gas and selling that gas to the local utility companies, injecting it right into the existing gas lines. We entered in an agreement back then when they were securing the funding to do so, and received a pledge of $3,500 per year for 2 years for every biodigester that went into operation. And so this is representative of that many more projects completing and being in operation. So that gives us a little over $230,000 that has come from this partnership with them. We use those funds, we have a predetermined distribution of those funds. 29% going into continuation scholarships, so students with certain majors that are linked to ag majors or certain science majors. People that they would want to hire is basically what they're doing, is supporting those professions. And so we have 29% going into scholarships for continuation students, 43% going to transfer scholarships. So respectively, we have $27,000 of that 94 is going into continuation scholarships that can be used. $1,000 and $40,500 that is going to transfer scholarships that will be used next cycle. And then another 29% or $27,000 that is going into an endowment fund to permanently endow these scholarships here and after. So I tell you because it's a large gift, but also to illustrate what a wonderful partnership that we have with industry. And they're looking to invest in the future of their industry and grow talent locally and trying to find partners to do that. And it turns out COS Foundation and the College of Sequoia.
I would note just that on that very specific donor that what that should be to all of us collectively, every seat filled, is just to have our antenna up. Because I can recall when I was with the Economic Development Corporation, when they were coming in, they were looking for a community partner.
Yes.
Right? And that helped them in their application, but it obviously helps us and our students and the economy and generations and on, right?
Yes.
But that should remind us all that we never really know, here we are $200,000+ later, and I don't know who made that initial connection back to the foundation, but God bless them. Thank you so much. And we ought to all take that as our charge to make sure that we keep funneling. So
They've employed our alumni and everything.
When you say partnership, how is that structured?
So we entered in a memorandum of understanding to document this relationship as a contingency of those projects going into operation. That helped them secure government funding to supplement the construction and initial operation of those projects.
So we verify what they're doing? Is that what you're saying, or?
no, they simply provide a certain amount of funding based upon their success to a community
They
organization.
needed an education partner way back, 5-6 years ago. What's his name? Mr. Black, but what's his first name?
Neil Black.
Neil Black.
Neil Black is
Neil
the
Black came to us, knew some of our friends in Derry, and said, I need this education partner.
Yeah.
And we said, well,
Yeah.
Where do we sign?
but I remember thinking, this is never gonna get off the ground, and that shows what I know about it, because I just didn't see it.
This area is pretty much saturated. One of our newest foundation board members, Jack Rosa, is an employee of theirs, and he is going to Kansas and Texas trying to find the next clusters to construct. So it's getting.
Yeah, because 15, 20 years ago, there were 3 or 4 companies all trying to do that, and none of them succeeded. It just wasn't quite the right time. So we got lucky, but like you said, John, to pick the one that did work. So thank you to everybody that had a hand in that.
So again, like Edison that I mentioned to you a few months ago, it's a great corporate partnership.
Very much so.
And we have an event this Thursday is the Power of the Purse.
Yeah. You want to say a word about that for anyone who might be listening? Or do a second plug?
We do have it every Thursday. There's still an opportunity to get a seat or two for $65 a seat. We will have about 40 purses in the silent auction, 10 purses in the live auction. We are raising money for scholarships for students who are re-entering college and are single parents trying to improve their ability to
It's incredible how many years that's been going on and how successful it's been every year. 15th year? Yeah.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Vice President Lutzer, any?
No report.
No report on the accreditation. And Superintendent, President Calvin?
Yes, I'm gonna try to hustle because we're gonna meet 3 new faculty members as well as 2 new division chairs. And a lot of what I was going to mention has already been mentioned, so I won't belabor the point. But yeah, Tulsare's been very busy with the crush party, with the birthday bash, as well as the meet and mingle. And then Dr. Waldner, along with Dr. Shingle and Chelsea Cushing, hosted a credit by examination regional meeting with at least, 100 people there, something like that. So they've been extremely busy, thanks to everyone that pitched in on those events. The first Gen event was fabulous. Leah and Rose just crushed it, and I think her was involved in that as well. Leo Gonzalez, I'm not a TikTok guy, but Leo was fabulous. I mean, he was, and you could tell our students just love the guy, and that theater was packed, or the lecture hall was packed. The veterans, Ashley Martinez did a great job planning it, and then Elise Garcia and Will Hobbs did the execution part. They were fabulous in that. Will was actually driving back home one evening and saw a big gathering of veterans for some reason at the Elks Club. So he ran home, got a bunch of flyers printed up, and came back to the Elks Club. Not a member, he just walked in. He could just tell there was a lot of veterans there, started handing out these veterans flyers for our event. And I think John, who Maddie sat by and talked to, I think he got one of those flyers, and that's how he knew about our event. So kudos to those folks. Our Student Activities and Affairs students, Student Senate also helped out with the Halloween event, which was a heck of a lot of fun. Notwithstanding the fact that I got really wet, but it was a really fun day. And then 2 final things. Our band and choir folks continue to do really good work. The latest example of that was our community chorus did Hayden's Lord Nelson Mass, which I'm told is a mass for troubled times. It was held at the St. Mary's Parish a couple Sundays ago. I don't know how many people that venue seats, but it was packed, really packed. Michael Tackett, our band director, and I sat in the back, and we're just in awe of how great the sound is at that parish. And then our concert choir and our chamber singers also did a couple of numbers that afternoon. Really, really good. And then finally, last Friday night, I went to our theater department's production of The Glass Menagerie, directed by James McDonald, and that was just fabulous. I was vaguely familiar with the storyline, and it was just really, really entertaining. There was only four actors, 4 characters. Joseph Wright played Tom Wingfield. McKenna Ruby played Amanda Wingfield. Lyra Paez played Laura Wingfield, and then Fabian Lopez played the gentleman caller. And it was 2.5 hours, and it was just those 4 on a stage. And we weren't out in the theater, we weren't out in the general theater seating. They had bleacher risers right around the theaters, or right around the stage. So I was literally this close to Lori for a lot of it, looking up and listening to them perform. It was incredible. A lot of pressure, and our students were just really, really good. So just wanted to give kudos to all of our performing arts folks. They're just crushing it, and really, really impressive. With that, I'll bring up, am I bringing up Dr. Lucerna first?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll meet our division chairs, and then we'll meet our new faculty.
Okay, I'm just honored to introduce our first of the 2 division chairs. brand new division chair, so Shannon Cooper, if you can come up. Shannon is our new division chair for agriculture, and she's faculty member in agriculture business, and I'll let her tell you the rest.
Thank you.
Let's go, Shannon.
Thank you. And there's a presentation that she's going to pull up to share with you. So that's a picture of our campus, so where our the acres I'm going to be talking about. You can see some of those acres there in some of the units. So a little bit about our division. There's 7 full-time faculty members. There's a few pictures of some events that we've had this year. So that top picture, we did a first year field day for new FFA students, where each of our faculty members put on a contest. The bottom picture, we did a welcome back barbecue to invite the students back, just to kind of get them acquainted with the campus and with the faculty. On the Tulare campus, we farm over 300 acres, and the crops that we're working on, throughout this last year was almonds, wheat, corn, and alfalfa. And on that campus, we also have hands-on laboratories, so with livestock, equine, plant science, ag tech, ornamental horticulture, and our stage farm. Options for completion. In the ag division, we have 9 different associate degrees that students can complete, 8 certificates of achievement, and 8 skill certificates. They're listed there, but I also included some photos from last year. So we do an end of the year banquet where we recognize our program completers. So it's a great way for students to have their family come and get recognized in a little bit smaller venue than the big graduation. So that's some photos from that. As far as student engagement, we have 6 agricultural-based clubs, so an ag business club, ag council, crop science, ornamental horticulture, equine science, and livestock. So a way for students to get involved outside of the classroom in areas that they might be interested in. We also have an equestrian team, and currently they've been the high point team at 4 of the competitions, and they're currently leading their region, so that's pretty exciting. As far as student conferences, students that want to get involved in leadership directly related to ag can participate in the CAL conference, which stands for Collegiate Ag Leaders, and also the Ag Ambassador State Conference, which brings together community college students and university students studying ag. For volunteering, they can continue to be involved with FFA contests, serving as judges or assisting with those contests. They assist with the Tulare County Fair, with the livestock portion of the Tulare County Fair with Mr. McKeith and Dr. Thompson. And then World Ag Expo, if you guys get a chance to go out there, anybody, you can come see us. We have a booth where we talk about our educational offerings, and then there's also a big fundraiser booth where we sell food that helps sponsor some of these events or pay for some of these events that we have. And as mentioned by Madison, we had the Fall Festival not that long ago. So some of those pictures you can see up at the top, some students, we put on a cotton judging contest. You see all the student volunteers that came together for the first year field day, and a lot of those pictures, you see some pictures of community involvement from the Fall Festival where we had our petting zoo, face painting, and pictures with the decorated horse, so just some fun events. And then students also can get hands-on experience working at the farm and also at the unit. So if they want to get experience in the field that they're going to, it gives them a chance to do that. With industry engagement, you've heard a few of these already, so I'll go quickly, but we have active advisories for all of our ag programs, and faculty organize those meetings and bring together those partners to help provide guidance on our programs. The meet and mingle, the play on that was because we were serving meat, so it kind of connected it to ag. A very fun event. I hope to see that one again. So Career Services has done a great job of giving our students the chance to engage with industry partners. The Ag Career Expo happened last March, and it's coming back this year, and that's a big job fair opportunity for students to connect. And then Lunch and Learns, we bring in employers who want to share about their experience in the field with our students during lunchtime Ag Club meetings. And then guest speakers in our classes, so a way for students to learn what's out there. As far as faculty engaging with educational partners, our faculty serve on multiple district governance committees, participate actively in CATA, which stands for the California Ag Teachers Association. They serve on multiple high school ag advisory committees, providing guidance from the community college point of view. And then we also engage with our university partners, so Fresno State, Cal Poly Pomona, Cal Poly SLO, UC Davis, and Chico among those. And then we also have faculty members that are leading the efforts on competency-based education through the F3 grant, which some of you have heard mentioned. And then finally, for opportunities, we're excited about the new construction. So you see this is a relatively recent picture. This happened during our meet and mingle, that picture.
And so the Applied Technology and Trades facility, we're excited for more hands-on opportunities for students in the areas of ag. And then also the growth and expanded opportunities in dairy science with the addition of our new faculty member, Dr. Kyle Thomas, who joined us from Fresno State's dairy science program. So a lot of exciting things happening, and I'm glad to provide that report to you.
Take a breath now.
Yeah. Get through it all, not take too much time.
That's amazing, Shannon.
Shannon, what other junior colleges, either in the state or locally, also have an equestrian team?
Reilly College has one, so Reilly College has been at the same events as our school. I'm not sure, Lillian, are there other ones that you know besides Reilly? Because I know it's Stanford, Cal Poly, San Luis, UC Davis, not community college, but other colleges that participate. But Reilly's the only other one I think that's it, just Reilly. So it's an exciting opportunity, and the fact that we're leading right now is very exciting
Amazing.
for the students.
To win 4 straight events over Stanford, the Cal
The
Polys.
buckle, right? We should have said the buckle. You should have worn
I should have worn the
tonight.
buckle tonight.
That's right.
The buckle.
Which we've seen him wear.
Yes.
He needs his cowboy boots when he wears that, though.
Thank you for stepping up and being division chair as well.
Thank you. Thank
You
you.
did a great job,
Thank
Coop.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Vice President Morrison will introduce our next division chair.
Good evening. I have the pleasure of introducing Lisa Lowen. Lisa Lowen started working with us in Hanford in 2007 as our outreach coordinator, or outreach specialist, as well as counselor, and really played an integral role in Hanford student services development. She was kind of the first, and she was like the one-stop outreach counselor specialist that now we have 5 or 6 positions to do that work. So I'm really excited to introduce you to Lisa. She brings a wealth of experience and has the campus perspective as well. So without further ado, Lisa Lowen.
All right, Lisa.
Good evening. So as Jessica had just said, I started Hanford in 2007. I was the first full-time faculty. Racquetball courts, and my
Don't remind
dean
us.
was Brent. So we go way back. Had an amazing time at that Hanford Center, and the whole point of me being hired as a full-time faculty and outreach person was because, one, we didn't have any outreach really to the high schools at that time, and we were trying to pass a bond. So amazingly fun and had a great time. So my first step into got to the new building back in 2010. Thought we died in contact roofs, and you guys, my
No snakes? No snakes?
no snake.
No
No,
fires?
we had a snake. We had a snake in the other building. No fires. Yeah, we had stories. We have stories. So yes, it was. Yeah, we won't go into all of that. That would be, we've got. Okay, so I've been here since 2007. I can't believe that's been 16 years. Really surprised me a bit. While I was in Hanford, when we were at the old building, some of you remember FYE, and so I got an opportunity to teach an FYE class. And one of those things that really stands out is that we took two separate vans, 13 kids, we missed a turn, and so we went in, because I grew up in the Bay early on in my life, we took another way through there. Well, coming up into San Francisco, you could see the Golden Gate Bridge, and it was a day where you could see the whole bridge. And all 13 of those kids, I thought they were going to climb out of the van. So we adjusted our schedule a little bit, and we left the museum early. They were so disappointed. And we went to the Golden Gate Bridge. And so, yeah, just the realization of who we serve and the opportunities that the kids don't get to have and the opportunities they get to have. I also got to teach leadership on the Hanford campus for a while before we restructured and had 2.0. So we
because there's always meetings, there's always something going on. As a department or as a division, we're a bit more complicated. It's pretty easy in the other divisions to say this is our departments and this is what we teach. One of the questions on here was coming up with the number of departments, and I'm like, ooh. So we have 3 separate departments, Access and Ability Center, Mental Health, and then the counseling. The Access and Ability and Mental Health are their own departments, but yet all their faculty fall under us. And then as far as classes, we have our own classes. We have counseling, we have human development. But I wrote it down because I know I was going to forget. Classes. Studies. That one is our leadership. So our ASB, actually all those classes and responsible for those student learning outcomes, all that kind of stuff also falls under us. So the certificate in leadership, we have 4 degrees, liberal arts degrees, university studies. So we have, let's see. So we are spread out everywhere. And some of us are just in one office by themselves. So this year we hired an EOPS and a transfer counselor that were replacements. And we have served over 30,000 students duplicated, so obviously. Because of that, we've raised enrollment, completion rates of degrees, certificates, and transfers. So. As division chair is that we are spread out all over the place. And it's very hard to keep a cohesive group. My predecessors have done an amazing My goal is to maintain that cohesive group and to keep us all pulled together as faculty. And grow. Probably change. So keeping on track with that, keeping up with what's going on in admissions, there's a lot of pieces and a lot of parts. My goal is to keep my head above water and to keep our division tight and together and moving forward and improving things for the college.
Good luck. It sounds like you have some challenges.
Okay, here comes Dr. Lucerna to introduce our new faculty members.
Yes, so thank you. I'm really excited to work with both Lisa and Shannon, and now I have the honor of introducing our 3 brand new nursing faculty members. So if they can come up here. Probably have said earlier you guys were giving shout outs to Fine Arts, and our Dean of Fine Arts is here, Richard Levin, and then we also have our Director of Nursing here, Belinda Kirsten, and our So our first, these guys are probably going, do I have to give a speech like that?
You don't have a PowerPoint?
We can. Okay. So first I have the honor of introducing Mary Denise Escobar, who goes by Denise. So Denise is our new nursing medical surgical faculty member. Denise is not brand new to COS, as she started this role in spring of 20. First experience at COS was actually taking a psychology course as a senior in high school, and interestingly, she went through our COS EMT program. And was a volunteer firefighter at Station 25 in Tulare.
Oh, my goodness.
So while in the nursing program, she worked at the Tulare District as a student nurse and was hired by Kauai Delta in the ICU in 1997. She has held numerous positions at Kauai Delta, including night house supervisor and nursing practitioner in the cardiology department. Did her BSN at Western Governors University and her MSN FNP at Walden University. She was just hired to work at the Veterans Hospital during the summer months. And an interesting fact that goes along with what we heard about recently about Tulare is she rode in the Visalia Rockettes all-female equestrian precision drill team. She enjoys reading, camping, riding motorcycles, and traveling. Please join me in welcoming Denise Escobar.
Thank you, guys. I'm really excited. This is a career change. I was 25 years at Kauai, so now I'm veterans. Talked all about the veterans, so I'm a PRN provider for the veterans. So.
Welcome.
Yes, sir.
We're Fire Station 25. Where's that
Foster
located?
Drive.
Foster Drive, okay.
Are you Tularian?
That, I am, yeah. There's a county station there and
Right
a,
under Foster Drive is the page out there.
right, okay,
Yep.
all right. Congratulations.
Okay, second, I get to introduce Tony Reyes. Tony is also a medical surgical faculty member. Tony is also from Tulare and graduated from Tulare Western High School, and then went directly to COS for the COS nursing program. Tony completed his bachelor's in nursing at Pacific College and his MSN in nursing education at Chamberlain University. Prior to joining COS, Tony spent the majority of his career at Kauai Health, where he most recently served as nurse manager of the cath lab Open Heart. He also worked as a clinical educator in the cardiac operating room at Clovis Community Medical Center, Fresno Heart Hospital. We're in really good hands here. He currently works as a PRN with Kauai Health in the cath lab. And Tony enjoys coaching his son's basketball team, bowling, golf, being outside, and barbecuing. And in fact, his dream is to open his own food truck one day, specializing in all things barbecue. But if the nursing thing doesn't work out, he may pursue a career as a stand-up comedian. Please join me in welcoming Tony Reyes.
Now we expect some funny stuff out of you, right now. Make us laugh.
We're not rated G, so. We get in trouble last time. I'm really excited to be here. Ever since I graduated nursing school in 2004, I wanted to come back as a professor.
So Tony,
None of us do.
where do you coach your son's basketball team
It was
at?
baseball, actually. Yeah,
Oh, baseball.
Here by Celia.
Okay, got it.
I might have
I think you said basketball.
that. Just here, as he grows,
Oh, sure,
they always need a coach.
Little League.
Or else they can't join. So I call and they're like, "Oh, we got 13 more kids for you." Oh, okay, well, yeah, it's here.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
That was my typo on the baseball, basketball, but thank you. Okay, so I now have the honor of introducing Heather De La Cruz, and Heather is our new mental health and psychiatric nursing faculty member. Heather was born in Sacramento and grew up in Woodland, California. Heather completed a bachelor's in psychology from Cal Poly San Luis Obispo and her master's in nursing, psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner. Heather is also an alumna from our COS nursing program. See how well our nursing alumni do. Most recently, Heather worked for Synchronous Health as a mental health nurse practitioner, providing psychotherapy for patients. Before this, she worked for Kauai Health for 15 years as a nurse and nurse manager. She has held various positions such as a social worker, a nurse, nurse manager, and now works as a nurse practitioner that specializes in psychiatry. Heather loves to travel, and this past summer traveled to Australia, which is the 17th country she has visited.
Oh my goodness.
She loves to experience new cultures and people and try new foods. She also loves to read and knit. And interesting, she has royal Hawaiian lineage in her family tree that leads back to King Kamehameha. She is roughly 2.5% Polynesian. And I'm going to ask her when she steps up to introduce her beautiful family that are here with her. So please join me in welcoming Heather De La Cruz.
Thank you so much. So we're a family of 8, but only some of us are here. This is
No option.
she goes to Redwood. I have our other nephew, Salvador, who also friends and I talked about that quite a bit. So, thank you.
Welcome aboard.
and
Questions?
Heather, it was nice to see you. I haven't
Yes.
seen you in a while, but I do recall working with you as a nurse manager, but also working in our employee connection and the pink tea, and really involved not just in the clinical part, but also just making everyone work together on great projects. So thank you for joining COS.
It's good to see you.
Welcome, Heather.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming, guys. Thank you. And that concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you.
You go just say
And those of you who came for that are obviously welcome to depart if you would like. You're also welcome to stay, but
Gets really
not
exciting.
That's okay.
You don't know what you're missing out on.
Just warming up here. Next up, Mr. Arzola. Greetings for the Academic Senate President's Report. Good evening.
Good evening, Board President Lane, distinguished board members. Just a couple things, just 4 announcements I want to make sure. Unlike the previous 2 years when I was Senate President, the Senate was able to establish its initiatives in October as opposed to November. So I count that as a win.
Progress.
That's right.
Overachiever.
And then one big, huge lift that the Academic Senate is going to be doing this year is we are going to be updating our Constitution and bylaws. In particular, one of the things that I'm proud of to stand here and advertise is that far too long the Senate Constitution has treated our contingent faculty, our part-time faculty, as less than, and I'm really hopeful that my colleagues will embrace the fact that our contingent faculty are faculty, and there shouldn't be a distinction between the two. So we're hoping that the Constitution and the bylaws will be approved, updated, and be applicable to all of our faculty. And then also, I don't know if this is getting ahead of ourselves, but I've been in conversation with Superintendent President Dr. Calvin, Vice President of Academic Services, Dr. Lucerna, and we came to an agreement, I think, that in the spring of 2024, March 1st to be precise, the Academic Senate for California Community Colleges will be visiting, and we will be hosting their curriculum regional Just to give you an idea of why this is occurring, the ASCCC used to hold its Curriculum Institute once a year, generally in the summer. But if there's one thing we know about faculty is if they're not teaching, they're vacationing, and they're not going to invest the time to go to a summer event, particularly when it's in Riverside, where it's like 110 every day. So the ASCCC made the decision to host regionals or hold regionals for faculty who are unavailable during the summer. And so this fall, the ASCCC held 3 regionals. There was one in the North region held at Woodland Community College, one in the South held at LA City, and then the last one was held at Bakersfield College last Saturday, November 4th. And so this year, in the spring, the Central Valley Regional is going to be held here at the College of the Sequoias, and I'm really looking forward to that. And I think Dr. Calvin he said, pull out all the stops. So,
Breakfast?
Breakfast.
Lunch?
Lunch.
Let's do it.
Yes. So hopefully you'll be able to bless us with your presence. And then the last thing, I just want to make sure I mention this. I'll be leaving tomorrow for Costa Mesa for fall plenary. The ASCCC is holding its biannual event, and I'll be making a couple of presentations there and just helping the event go off as an executive board member with the organization. And that's it. All right. Questions? Right.
Joel, correct me if I'm wrong, you're a veteran?
Yes, sir.
So I want to say thank you for serving our country.
My pleasure. It's my pleasure.
Were you at the event?
I did not get to go. I was that day was really bad for me. I had 4 meetings all day long, starting at 9:30.
What branch were you in?
Marine Corps.
Okay, I was in the Army, so.
It's all right. JV school too.
Yeah.
All kidding aside, thank you for your service, sir.
Yeah, I was a cannon cocker. You know what that is?
I sure do.
Yeah, that's where you load the
I can hear you.
cannon. You load the shells into the cannon as the fire come off. Yeah,
Wow.
I was a cannon cocker.
Yeah, hope you had ear protection.
Probably not back in those days.
What?
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. CASA President's Report, Ms. Redden, anything for us? Okay, thank you for being here.
Thank you for
CSEA report, Ms. Kane,
I
welcome.
know.
Yeah.
And I was telling some of the
Yeah.
They wouldn't have left. They knew you were presenting. They would have stuck around.
And they're all like getting shipped off at like
Just to
17.
update you, nothing crazy, but a few events. CSA did have our first attempt at a trunk or treat in October 26th. We had it out in Lot 7. We had a much better turnout than we were expecting, had a considerable amount of community involvement, which we were not expecting. But it was definitely enough that we know what to expect now. And so we feel confident moving forward for next year. It's going to be at least twice as big next year. We've got commitments from people and things. So. Faculty members. Not just the doors, we're talking, they had balloons and streamers from the ceiling, flags on the walls, on the sides of the doors. It was really cool to see people get very invested in celebrating our veterans. Pictures of staff members and faculty who served and celebrating them as well, so that was very cool. Celebrate the holidays, we bring out yummy treats and hot drinks, and everyone can kind of mosey around, do some early Christmas shopping, and kind of hang out and celebrate with each other. So that. As you know, we have an organizational psychologist that we're working with. choice that they have. I'll back down. I mean, I've got better things to do. And overwhelmingly, I had several people unmute and say, that's not the case, but we watched that meeting. They don't want to hear it. That was very disheartening for me because I've only been at COS for 5 years, but I don't believe my rallying call was that I was going to be here to listen as much as we could. I was going to encourage people to continue to be a part of that conversation. Has been involved in that, but I know since you guys were part of the initial conversation, I wanted to bring that back here.
If I may, you know how many events I go to.
Oh, yeah.
I'm with CSEA members and faculty members day after day after day. I mean, I think we counted just in the couple of months, we've had nearly 100 events put on by staff members and faculty. And when you're there and you're talking with people, all you hear is how much they appreciate a district that does care about them and that does put on events and that does compensate them fairly and does all these wonderful things. I mean, I get over and over how there's not a better employer in the entire county. And yet when it comes to the organizational psychologist thing, first of all, that started, the whole concept started as a possibility to bring into one academic division that was having trouble getting along. And those faculty members didn't want to have an organizational psychologist come in. They weren't interested in settling that beef, and so it died down for a while. And then it was reintroduced last year as a way to help people that maybe were having trouble coming back from COVID, that didn't want to come back to campus. And then at some point it kind of flipped, and then it was to help the communication between the district and a handful of union leaders. And so we looked at it, but it's kind of morphed into even something larger. When we saw the proposal from, this individual's an assistant professor at Fresno State, and we could use that individual. We could probably use people that have more experience in that area, but I think at least one union has kind of gotten stuck on this individual, and he gave a proposal, and you could see it was pretty much geared towards, we want to train management to do this, and we want to train these managers to do this, and all we asked is that that CASA, that CSEA, that COSAFA consider having this individual come to their meeting, and even Academic Senate. I don't think Academic Senate could find the time to get him on their schedule. And we just didn't feel like we were the ones that need to make time at Management Council or Management Institute or Instructional Council or other places before the people that have wanted this. So again, I really feel like Again, I'm only speaking, I mean, if we would ask our faculty and staff members that are at these events, I think they would say that our climate is really, really good. And I understand there are some people we have some disagreements over. I think our board would be surprised if and when the district and our union leaders ever get along on everything. I think there's going to be an issue, because there are just things that we're going to disagree on. And I don't take it personally when I'm told by a union leader, no, we can't do that. And I don't think they should be surprised or take it personally when we say no on something. And I don't think it means we have a climate issue. I really don't.
I'm going to be honest, and that's.
So how about you start shadowing me to all these events, and we'll listen to, because I'm thinking of.
And I don't disagree with you, and that's what, and I think that's kind of the disconnect here is, and we saw in the results, right? People as a whole, when looking at the district as a whole, agree with you. 100 COS as a whole does great things for especially since in the last 10 years, COS today, what we do for the community, what we do, and people find satisfaction in that. That is and you can have great satisfaction in what your job produces and what the organization you work for produces, and
I think the only thing that I think what surprised all of us in the spring was that so much of your results were skewed negatively. Like clearly there were people that on a scale of 0 to 100 would rank something as a 10 or a 20. And it's skewed very, very negatively. So you have a handful of people bringing down the entire results. I think that's what people questioned. It was clear that it was skewed very, very negatively. So a handful of people brought down the overall results of that entire survey.
the statistical significance and mathematical
I think the person you worked with, her supervisor, is right here in the audience, and I think he would say it does. It's skewed negatively. There's no denying it's skewed negatively, Katie.
Okay.
I would agree with that.
So again, I'm going to start inviting you to the events I go to, and you're at a lot of them. So I think you can see how excited people are to be at a district that does value them, that obviously compensates and allows for just a fun environment. Again, if you were to look at the feeds from our sister colleges and see the kind of events that they're not having compared to the ones we are having, I think it's pretty clear that our campus is more alive than probably anybody in the state. Now, if you have specific, I'm willing to just come and have a meeting with the folks that are disenchanted with their job. And chances are I probably had meetings with them over the years, but I'll continue to do my best to make sure that they're satisfied in the job they're doing at the district. But
I'm being the mouthpiece, right? When we come to you and say,
we have a climate issue. That doesn't mean that there's not people that are dissatisfied with their jobs. I just don't think we have a climate issue. I'm absolutely, bring anyone in that's having a problem with their job, and I'm happy to sit and talk to them one-on-one. I know that we probably have the most accommodating and patient dean of HR in the state. And so to the extent we can help people, find more satisfaction in their job are willing to do that. I just don't think we have a climate issue. I think if you tell people that they should be unhappy with their job long enough, some of them will start to believe you. And you and I have talked about that before. I think, and so I do think there's part of it to that. I think if you continue to say, are you really happy with your job? Are you really satisfied with your job? What about this? What about that? I think there are people that will start to say, well, maybe I'm not happy with my job. Maybe I shouldn't be satisfied with my job.
Move on.
Just to, Brent, help clear up for me where we are in the process of the third-party, I forgot the term, or the psychologist situation. So tell me what kind of, where that sits and briefly what's transpired.
They, CSEA and Costa have an individual that they would like to use. He sent a proposal which was shared with us, that had numerous meetings throughout the year. And they all seem to be geared more towards training managers as to how they can support their employees more. And I just felt like from the very beginning there's a negative slant to that, which has caused us to hesitate, especially when we were told that Academic Senate and some other entities on campus weren't interested in finding time for that individual to come to their meetings. I just didn't feel like it was fair to our managers to try to say, well, these groups have an issue with you, so we're bringing in an organizational psychologist to meet with you. I just did not feel comfortable with that at all, and still don't.
And what he's going to attempt to do here. But if the whole institution and campus constituency isn't part of the effort, then it's not going to go anywhere. I hear what you're saying, Brent. Folks that say that there's not a climate issue. To say that we should believe Katie, we should believe
No, not at all. So
more of a focused area, it sounds to me, like on those that are disgruntled, right? So why would we go to the world when we have a small section that has expressed that concern, right? So I personally agree with that sort of approach, is that, well, let's identify those individuals that would like to have a conversation, have that conversation, rather than to bring in everyone else.
I just feel like it's unfair to expect our managers to feel like they're being scolded. And what I saw from the proposal just seemed to really focus on managers and how they can do their jobs better. And so we still intend to either bring Dr. Mercado or someone in that same industry in for our Management Institute. I mean, we're committed to that. But I don't feel inclined to bring someone in and bring them to numerous management structures, almost like they need the training. But to answer your question, guess, trustee Nunes.
I think I'm satisfied with the information.
Yeah, we haven't closed the door on it. I would just like to see maybe a little more filtering down of who we believe needs to have these conversations. So, and again, this is one of those things where we're gonna disagree a little bit on, and so be it. I mean, if someone wants to blame, it's me that has a hesitation, so if we're gonna blame someone, blame me.
All right. Anything else? All right, thank you. I
Oh, I
don't,
guess, I have to go pick up my daughter, so please don't. Not right now. We're
not gonna storm out.
I'm not.
all right, see. Ms. Alberti, I don't see in the audience, so I'll presume there's not a COSAFA President's update. We'll move to informational quarterly update. Ms. Parkmore. Yay. Welcome.
Good evening.
Good evening.
We're so excited to present you the numbers. I know I get to nerd out and I have about an hour, they said.
Ask Dolly how that goes.
It's 7 o'clock, so I think your hour has.
Dolly's like, hey.
So this item is a quarterly update to increase our accountability. So you, as a governing board, has a say and has an input on how we are doing. And this is our first quarter. And first quarter also includes year-end balances. And the first one that you're seeing is how we ended up. And this is a big picture with all the funds. So if you, this is not work, huh?
Pointer, I'll get mine.
So the top is like where the beginning balance was after you account expenses and revenues, where you ended up at. And oftentimes, thank you.
Handyman.
So oftentimes, everybody's eyes usually goes to that unrestricted fund where we are. It's the most exciting. That's the discretionary fund.
God, you sucker.
Yeah. As
Saved
you
it.
can see,
Who does that?
we actually ended up with a very nominal gain. So, and then, so that's the fund balance, and that's, at the bottom is actually cash balance, which is kind of different. So fund balance, 28 million, that states we are reserved about 28%, a little over 3-month operating cash, which is a at the bottom definitely shows that we actually have cash to back it up, the 30 million. So all our actually assets are in very liquid form, like mostly in county treasury. So that process involves just fund transfer, that we have access to the cash. Next one. And this is just a deep dive of our unrestricted fund, the general fund, discretionary fund, how we ended up with an 18 million gain, 18,000 gain. So we started out 12 million funded fund balance, or budgeted fund balance. But after going through the resource allocation process through the participating government, we moved the 16 million, so that we ended up with a 18 million gain in the general fund. So we're still at 28 million, not 40 million. So, and then at the bottom, it kind of explains where the kind of variances were. So with 12 million and where we wound up with the 16 million because we had a little more over revenue side, some revenues came out a little ahead, like 3 million and 2 million, and then we had some expense savings. So we wound up with a 16 million being transferred into 10 million, 11 million into the capital project, and 5 million into the special reserve.
Question.
Yes.
Rental income, I'm seeing $265,000. Do we own that many properties?
So what now? Where are you, Greg?
Where are you?
Under rental income. Other revenue.
Oh, yeah. That apartment building down there.
You can't possibly make that kind of money on that apartment building.
Like 350.
For the year? We've got 35 units times,
There's 35 units there?
I think in the Palms, there's 30, and then there's like 10 next door and then 2. So we probably have in excess of 40 apartment units, so it's probably.
Yeah, the estimated would be like at 350 per year too, so I should
Okay.
remember when we first.
That was just a surprising number.
The Big Palms has 30 units, and they probably go for $800 a month or something like that.
24,000.
Excellent. And since this is a quarterly update, and this just shows as of September 30th where the fund balance is, mainly we gotta pay attention if there are large changes in the fund balances. And all the large changes are from the capital project, which as the projects unfold, we start spending down, that's the point of those capital project funds.
This is the report you filed with the Chancellor's office,
It's
right?
the next.
Oh, the next one coming up. Okay, I thought you already moved to that one.
And this, so with the quarterly update, I'm gonna end this with just a very recent update. So October, we had still 9.3 million unrestricted fund balance. We're still holding 9.3 million. And the only like small changes were, nominal changes were 24,000. And mainly library, they, some one-time funding supplies. So we wound up. And then, actually, the full explanation is found in the second page. And the second part is actually this.
Did you want me to go down?
Go up.
Go up?
Yeah.
Oh, up
This-
here?
No.
Oh. I don't know where you're at.
The other down.
This second part.
Over to the side, okay.
Is the restrictive budget. It's always, if there's any change in the revenue side, it has to change the same exact amount in the expense side because it's a net zero fund, because it's a categorical fund. It's restricted. You don't get. You see 189 revenue increase because we got one-time funding, and then those are allocated into the expense side, so now the net zero. Next, please. So this is the explanation of the 24,000 and then 180.
Okay.
And this is information only, there is nothing to vote.
If I was voting, I would have voted for it.
And this is informational.
And she has one more, right?
Well, you got one more.
Does she
Bring
cover
on.
number 2?
Go back, you gotta do the quarterly.
The next one is the same thing, basically in another format, and this does get submitted to the Chancellor's office.
Yeah, that's the one I was.
We look for the 3 no's on the back page, and they're all there.
Yeah, this one is a
Exactly.
regulatory
Yes.
report. It's the one that Mr. Nunes was asking. It's being submitted to the Chancellor's office. And this is a way to communicate how we are doing on a quarterly basis. And Ed Code actually requires us to submit this. And this is at a glance like 4-year comparison, as you can see. We are, it's a, what is it, unrestricted, the discretionary fund. Starting out 29%, 33%, 28%. But this is a straight projection, and this is prior to any resource allocation process.
Yeah, we're going to spend a whole lot before then.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have plans already.
Yes. So that's. For FTES estimates, but the expenses and revenues, this is through September 30th, so we should be about at 25%. Revenue is lagging a little bit, 23%, 24%, but expense very normal for this time of the report. And then that next one.
Most important things we look for.
We are paying our employees per.
Questions or comments?
Thank you. We like the 40% number and the no's on that.
Yeah, that next to the last question should always be answered no. And keep that in mind.
If you ever leave that slide off, we'll worry. Thank you.
So we will, if there's no questions, we'll reflect acceptance of the numbers for minute purposes. On to the next item is Farming Operations Annual Update. Dr. Waldner.
Special thanks to Dr. Waldner because at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning, she's going to be hosting farm operations, which probably means she leaves her house in Kingsburg at about 5:30. So thank you.
See that cheery group of men.
Yeah, to see all the grumpy farmers.
That meeting is tomorrow at what time?
7.
7 a.m. It's always the Tuesday after our board meetings.
And it's on the Tulare campus, obviously.
I don't know if
Do you go to that, Lori? Do you ever go
I
to
know.
that?
I haven't been in a couple of years. I hear all about them, though. I sat next to Brian Waddy Saturday night at a wedding, so I keep up to date, just so Luann knows.
It's great, and they love them some Luann Waldner, too, let me just tell you.
I absolutely hate following fiscal.
Just
No comment,
don't
Rainbow.
look.
No
Rainbow,
comment.
don't look.
I have some things I'm going to share with you, but I also apologize. It has been a busy month, and so I'm a little. I'm not behind, but there's just I'm going to. Crop year, if you remember, so we go when crop year ends is October 31st. But not all
You've
the
had
bills-
10 days to send it.
Leave me alone.
Yeah.
So for those that haven't seen this, I kind of go over just so you understand what we're talking about. For our student, the Tulare proper is over there to the right-hand corner off of Bardsley, and I call it Tulare proper. I just mean the buildings and the, I don't show, I didn't get a new one. Block that you see kind of cut out is the water district, the Kauai Water District, and it's a ponding basin for them. So people, Farming Operations Committee, I think I discussed last year, Gabe Cooper joined us a couple of years ago, Jimmy Nichols, Nichols Farming over in Hanford area, Kings County, and he farms in Tulare County as well. Also has his own company, Hotspot Ag, joined us. So it's really nice to have a different Did add, I think one of the objectives that we've had since from day one when I started was connection between the ag division and the instructional units. And so Dr. Kyle Thompson, who is our animal science faculty, but dairy that Shannon mentioned earlier, he's now coming. And I think that's always nice. I mean, take a hay sample. How does he use that in class? Look at what we're doing when we're cutting hay, when we're doing whatever, how he can implement that in class is important. So I appreciate joining at 7 a.m. as well. So goals of the operation, farming operation, obviously maximize revenue and a net profit on our 320 acres. A lot around water. We continued, these goals haven't changed, reduce water usage by managing how we're dealing with water. And then obviously, if you know anything about farming, the SGMA, the Groundwater Management Act has gone into effect, so that we are now really having to pay attention to that and making sure of our water usage and how we're using that and how we're. So provide a cropping pattern that does make us money is a goal, and that's always a challenge for any farmer. I laugh. We sit at around this table, and they look at me, and I'm going, "What are we doing next year?" And they go, "I don't know. What are we doing next year?" And we're making the decision as we go. It's kind of a tough business, particularly right now. So, and then I think the biggest one, and I added this a couple of years ago, just provide the ample opportunities for demonstrating practice. And Dr. Ferry Aby pulling samples, utilizing those in their classroom, talking about integrated pest management, and utilizing the faculty and their expertise and all of that. Mr. Aby has reported to you the last couple of years about the technology as a management decision within the farm. So all of those things are important in our goal. This is what I submit to the Farm Service Agency every year. I think I submit this a little differently, but in the gold, kind of the yellow, is what we submit for early planting due by March 15th to them. So it just shows late plantings that we do, the late corn. If we're double cropping, I've noted that on there, and that's what we have to submit. We also have the Student Ag Experimental Farm, vine citrus. I'll talk about that a little bit later. But this is just outlining, again, what the farm looks like, what our crop plans were this year, what we planted. Field 1, 2, and 3 are on Bardsley, just west of the campus. Then fields 5 and 6, they're east of the campus, and 7, 8, and 9, with number 9 being the almonds, if you recall, and if you've been. Experimental farm, and then we still have the dairy being rented. And all the blue is all the different water directions, and that's probably not even complete. Mostly we use pump 4, which is on 132. There on the corner of 7 is where we do most of the pumping from there. And although the city well, which is now labeled number 12, what we got from the city, we still use that. But just the way we push water on property is an interesting change. So corn silage, just quick. I'm going to be presenting this to the group tomorrow. They've seen most of this, but corn silage just shows what we made, early corn, late corn. There on the left, expenses, revenue, profit, loss for those. On the right, I brought my book in case you all did that to me, but never fails. I think I've got myself covered, and then the farms go, well, how much was that per acre, and this, that, and the other, and I'm going, guys, I have a different life. I don't farm every day.
Tell them to bring their calculator.
So I try to put as much, but they'll always ask me a question.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
We love them, but those guys, they would sit there till noon and ask
This
questions.
time of year they would.
Kick them out. Yes.
Well, for one thing, Dudo's there. So he could screw up any good party, so.
We wheat silage and corn silage just are staples. One of the things we talked about in terms of this wheat silage, we had a really debate last year of whether to change crops, and so they really and this is a partnership with us and them. So they really were pushing to grow tomatoes. Luann already had wheat in the ground, and she's going, really, I'm not sure I want to rid of the wheat in the middle of growing it, and already had that investment of about 40 grand into that to take that out. And I think I talked to the guys, some of them did very well with tomatoes, but it just was too much last year for me, and we just decided as a group. So, but wheat, not going to make a lot, but 83,000, we probably did better on that because the guy who took our late corn also, he agreed to pay a little more on wheat than others would if we wouldn't do our late. Alfalfa, here's the profit and loss for this year. That's year 4, and then I've got year 1, year 2, year 3. This is a perennial crop, so I think we're going to keep it in the ground for one more year for year 5. You can kind of see the expenses, revenue, and profit and loss. Year 1, right, is the most expensive year because you're prepping the ground, you're buying seed, and then you can see the costs kind of just level off and are what they are after that, which is kind of why I'm a favor of alfalfa, because it doesn't cost me a lot on a yearly basis. Last year, year 3 was crazy. If you know any dairymen, they were not happy with farmers. The two didn't talk. My husband is a dairy guy, and he and I just didn't talk farming last year.
You didn't sell him any of your hay, let's put it that way.
So, hay, alfalfa was outrageous in terms of, so we made something on that, and there's a point of you telling that when I get on down here. This year, not as great of a year. I'm trying to decide. I did talk to my husband again. I'm going, I don't know what's the deal with that particular field. Didn't get watered this last time, so maybe we had a little issue there. So that's more info than you probably want. But in terms of almond trees, remember 16 talking about the rage of almonds.
Crystal ball.
Wish I had a crystal ball, because you can see what we netted in 2022. For almonds. So anyway, that's what we netted in 2022 for almonds.
That's just a function of the price, obviously.
It is the function, right. The prices have gone down significantly. I kind of, to 2015, we were talking $3.13. Maybe the average, according to California statistics, $1.40, and I'm not sure we got that. Almonds is a tough one to know. I'm giving you 2022 prices because 2023, our pounds were up, right? But you won't know what we get until a year from now, again, because you sell different things at different times, depending on who you're with.
Are they predicting 23 to be a little better than 22, though?
Everything that I read does not.
Read a little bit of both.
Export market. Okay. Some of those things. I mean, my husband says farmers don't love, I don't know what his phrase is, but don't love profitability is basically what he's saying, because as soon as a good thing happens, everybody puts it in, we flood the market, and here we go again, right? So anyway, we are where we are on almonds right now. I will say it's provided great number, as you've heard from Charlie before, a great number of educational opportunities and moments.
What not to plant? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, maybe that. Hey, I only planted 50 acres of them.
You're right.
They wanted to plant 50 and 70.
How many times did we beat them back when they wanted to put in another 50?
And I wish
Vince Sula.
Yeah, I wish I would have done probably pistachios, but pistachios.
Never trust a farmer when it's not his money.
So I bring this next one up, talking about the corn. You can see this is an academic year, so 22-23. I wait until the end of the year. Leangela keeps emailing me going, you owe me money. So
I don't have any.
I paid back myself, right? We paid back, the district paid back really our reserve fund of $158,000. I don't know if I'm going to be able to pay $211,000 this year, because last year, like I said, dairymen hated farmers because of the prices of corn, wheat, and alfalfa. Corn, wheat, and alfalfa are more normal this year. So you may see me back here next year having a conversation about negotiating that price to pay back, because I don't know what I can do there. But at least we are paying ourselves. So I'm just prepping you for my crying and coming to you later. The challenges, higher production cost. You can't predict that. I've got some numbers here that I'll hand out to you, and these aren't all right, so accountants and everything, I'm at the end of fiscal year and had a lot going on. So Angie and I my admin tech haven't had a chance to sit down and look at these in great detail. I kind of give these to the guys they're all guys, and Shannon and myself, but give that to them. And I don't want you can look at it, they harass me every month, and it's just the way I kind of look at the data on a crop year basis of what areas. And so the bottom, the expenses and revenues match, and those are right. That just gives you an idea of all the things we're tracking, trying to make sense of. I've used the percent budget spent, and you'll see some where you're going, oh, it's zero, and I realized that as I was looking at it sitting over here. And there's some that's 325,000 over, 325% over. And some of those things for almonds, for instance, it's on page 2, 325% over, because we put puffers in, different insecticide this year for that, because of just the way almond trees were working this year. But that gives me a good monthly look when I look at that going, why am I over? And it's just, with higher production cost, I don't have a real good idea of what my real budget should be, and that's just part of farming, I guess. So almond prices, this was true last year. I think they'll remain suppressed somewhat. I don't think we're going to see that. There is that oversupply scenario. Good news, technology investments. So you're not going to see it on the sheets that I gave you, except for the 2022 year. But we do water right now. We have electricity costs for water, pulling that water out of the ground. Last year we had a lot of surface water. We got as much as we really needed, as did everybody. The technology investments, Charlie Avey, myself, this year we're using, you're not going to see it reflected here. We haven't had time to sit down, but instead of just using electric bills and trying to determine where we place the water based on just per acre, Hotspot Ag will allow us to do some of that more efficiently, or specifically, precisely would be the right word, precisely. And I only say that because those are the things Charlie, Alice, and others are teaching in class, that sort of thing. So continuing power monitoring, water level monitoring, automation and flow monitoring, regardless of whether we're making money or not, those are things we're trying to do. And these are just some pictures of classes that are doing that kind of thing. I never do this, and maybe I shouldn't since since Shannon was here, but again, this is an example of this student ag experimental farm. It's only about 5 acres, but Allison puts vines and trees and can do integrated pest management throughout the farm, but she puts different levels of vines and trees and things, and you all have been out there and seen some of that. So she continues to do that work. Probably my biggest hassle is my farmers we don't keep it as clean as they do the rest of the farm in terms of weeds, and so I'm looking forward to the meeting tomorrow to be told. So livestock units, I want to brag on them. We don't often let Kim bragged a little bit about the equestrian team, which is great. I'll talk about them in a moment, but Russell McKeith does a beautiful job, has been doing a great job of just managing those units. Those are the working budgets. You can see he went over in some of them, but he's also sold livestock to make up for any overages that he has. And so that all goes back to the farm. He doesn't get to keep it, but it is a way for us to buy particular livestock and things that we that we need at times. And sometimes, like in the swine unit, we've had some losses And that's why I think the total expense was so much in that. Sheep unit, next year it'll reflect, we lost about 12 sheep to dogs out there, so that was a problem. Just animal science, he just came back from a show. So 4 steers and heifers consigned to the California Shorthorn Breeders Association, their quality sale, grossed about $13,000. That'll be in next year's budget or revenues. Students participated from his livestock class, and they're both highly, Shannon discussed a few things, but Dr. Thompson and Mr. Keith highly involved in that. And I put in the right-hand corner, some of you know this because you've gone to the Tulare Fair, but I feel like that place couldn't work, that livestock unit now without Russ and his students that he puts out there, and Dr. Thompson helped with that. So just kind of wanted to brag on them to you all. Equine unit, it's expensive. All horses are expensive. We gain a little bit of profit in livestock and breeding profits. What I would tell you is that last year I had a colt born, got a call from Kim Pitliano in the middle of the night going, what am I doing with this particular colt? She wanted to bring it home. Couldn't, anyway, that colt cost us about $15,000 last year. But 2 students got a job as a result of their hard work with that. And we ended up losing the colt, which, anyway,
Welcome
that's
to
a
ag.
lot. But
Yeah.
we kept the colt for about 2 months, 24-hour care, so students were, we were all exhausted. Sales. In terms of the.
Luann, is that, do I see that correctly? The OH, is that all representative of the 26,000 of sales of product
Working budget, what it costs to kind of maintain that unit is 21,000 is what it cost last year, and then plant sales were about 6,000.
Okay, so the budget was, so the sales is
was about 6,000.
Is the 6,200. That's not, that's the gross sales when I saw profit on.
Yeah,
Okay.
I shouldn't say it wasn't profit. You're right, it wasn't
Well,
profit.
because that is the difference.
Yeah, it's the difference between, and I struggle to, because they always remind me that I'm not here, do you expect anybody else to make a profit? They'll always remind me of that, going,
Okay,
no,
so
but
that's
thank you
just
for the
the,
work that you do.
That's just a
offset.
surplus,
It's
if you will.
offset, yeah. Just a couple of thoughts already been out here, but in terms of farming operation, there's a covered parking lot going back towards the back of the unit between M&O and the livestock unit, and that's going to be hooked in. So thanks to Ron for his work and Byron for his work of getting that covered parking lot, because that'll help us with cost on farming, any water that we're drawing there. So that about $100,000 worth of water will
So
be covered.
that project is on the main parking lot, is it?
No, it's back in the back.
Oh, it's in the back.
And that's the only way to get it hooked to the.
Okay.
Because we're
To the
already
wells.
covered, basically.
Right.
The proper, so this got the farm.
That's in
and
the
the water
back,
usage
yeah.
there.
Okay, got it.
And it'll be a covered parking lot.
So it's a parking lot now, right? It's the one I'm looking at right here.
It's when you walk into the
Yep.
front of the unit, it's that parking
Yep,
lot,
got it.
back in that livestock.
Yep.
And then I think we've gotten news, Dr. Calvin, annexation is moving forward. And so that just changes a little bit of the way we think about water and what water district we end up in when.
Does that make a difference in terms of pesticides or insecticides or anything like that?
No, we've been, no, I
We've
mean,
been
we still have to
promised
report like normal. We're a farm just bordering a city, but it doesn't impact the way we can farm in terms of the Tulare County Ag Commissioner's Office. We would still report like.
We have that buffer with the Cahuilla Preserve there. We have that buffer. Just up there in Field 1, we've got 35, 40 acres that if we ever did want to consider selling a piece, we could just extend that property line that we share with the preserve and take that all the way to Bardsley. I think there's 38 acres. And that would provide a pretty nice natural buffer between our property and anything back to the west. Especially if, I don't think we'd want to have, if we were selling it to someone, it's the top left-hand corner, that piece right there. We wouldn't want that to be in housing development. We've talked to, I won't mention the company, but we've talked to a storage unit entity that would be interested in building a storage unit there. We've talked to some different people that would do maybe a shopping plaza there. Toyed with the idea about possibly doing something with the city to do a sports park there on that piece. That brings up some other challenges, parking and access for people that may put some pressure on other aspects of our, anyway, we're just trying to think of something that in the future we might want to put in that would just kind of extend that whole natural buffer between houses and our campus for that very reason.
How many acres is that?
I think it's
piece?
38. 38?
It's 36 listed.
36, okay.
The 2050 plan, isn't it?
Oh, I think it's 38 if you,
Yeah.
According to Farm Service Agency, what I farm is 38, whatever I have on that.
Okay.
Whatever I have on.
I think it's because there's a path, if we extended our property line all the way up.
Yeah, this is a drive.
Yeah.
This is a pump, but it could be taken
Yeah.
out.
So, anyway, we've talked about
That
it
area
before.
right there where you're at, where somebody's at with a clicker, where the green and those are currently in Walnuts, I think, and that's the piece that's been approved for a
Big
development, a housing development there.
How many homes were, it's big, it's a couple thousand.
Yeah.
A couple thousand, and that's what's pushing the annexation, I think, finally, because it's been 10 years that the city's been contemplating annexing us in. And they've
then
had,
it's interesting, the COIA does not want to be
yeah,
annexed us in, but not them. I don't understand.
we've kind of just been along for
This
the
is for
ride. I don't,
sale. This is for sale.
and that's been for sale for
Yeah, I
a
think it's sold,
while.
but I'm not sure.
Where's the city well that we took over?
Right there in that corner,
I can't hold it.
up there.
Right in here.
Or light is.
Okay.
The one up there on, along Bardsley,
I thought that was the one.
they still own,
Oh, that's the one they own.
they own that one. And so in exchange for giving us 12 back, we gave, well, they wanted us to give them an acre around that one they own on Bardsley.
Right.
And we didn't want to give it to them. So what would you, just give them a long-term lease for virtually nothing? Just so they could,
Well, we kind of swept, what was that word?
Swap.
Swift.
Something with an S.
But, yeah, they got an additional 8/10 of an acre, I don't know, a half acre or something, and then we got the well. And wanted to like do something other, and I just said, no, you can, I don't remember, they wanted.
We just did
They wanted me to sign something that they.
owned it, and we just did a ground lease on it. We just have we just gave them a ground lease. They just wanted more room around their
Yeah, we've got.
around their well out there.
We've got, you were talking about rental agency, we've got 2 houses and the dairy, which are.
I know, you might want to consider getting rid of those.
No, the one house is good, our custodian lives in it,
Oh,
he's,
okay.
He's great, but the other house is going downhill.
It's just a tenant,
Like,
yeah.
I don't know if it's in those costs,
That's
but.
the higher end one with the pool, right?
Yeah, it's not necessarily higher end, it's just bigger, and it's now, it was probably higher end in its heyday, but I just spent like 2 or 3 or 4,000 for.
Probably perfect for a board member.
10,000. Yeah.
Knock it down. That thing can be gone in a few days. Get rid of it.
It's kind of nice, the lady that lives there, it kind of keeps those people out. People know someone lives there, so.
And am I mistaken that I think it was like the 2050 report that Field 1 is where the stadium would go?
In the original master plan, which had to include everything for the EIR, yes, there was in fields kind of 1, 2, and a portion of 3.
But our current master plan, right, we talked a lot, we really told why we protected for the ag division, keep those areas back there for the purposes of instruction, so.
Right.
I do have a question. Sorry, I've been sitting here in silence. So for the Sage Farm, that's only where students are able to gain that farming experience. Are they allowed to I guess essentially work in fields 1 through 9, or those are
No, it's a hard question to answer.
Yeah.
They do, like in the sense of in plant science.
Right.
Doing integrated pest management, but no, they're not farming it every day themselves.
Right.
That was a definite money loss, not a great. But they use every aspect of it in their classes with faculty out there. Itself allows them to prune versus we don't want pruning during classes. We don't have a almond class, we don't have a nut class every semester. So just the timing of asking students to do it versus it's the timing when they go away and for spring break, right? They're not gonna
be there.
So but Sage is their own.
Yeah.
Right.
And with Dr. Aby, they can do kind of anything they want there. But they still use other, like Field 9, almonds. Charlie will take his classes out there and do studies out there with his classes. So different faculty use the other fields.
For they're going to be PCAs, they use every part of it, from an insect entomology perspective to walking and doing a field test in the almonds from an irrigation standpoint, or how nuts are coming off of the trees. Are they tight or are they coming off? They get to go out there, but just we don't have that class every semester.
So they're not in charge of those. It's a commercial farm that their teachers can take them out and experience it with, but they're not in charge of it like they are the Sage. The Sage is kind of their own. They have an advisor, but it's kind of their own to do what they want to do.
I think it's cool. I do.
Maybe you should take an ag class.
I almost did. My grandpa convinced me. He grows raisins, so
good.
He convinced me. He got me very close, but I ended up going with business instead.
Probably smarter.
Yeah, I might make him happy and take a class.
One question?
Yes,
Right?
sir.
I remember the student agricultural experimental farm was new when I started on the board, and I was always excited because it sounded like every year they would plant a new area or a new acre. I think it's 5 acres. So that means by year 5, you'd have these very newly planted trees, and then you'd see the years. And then I would every year always ask, what do we do with the fruit? And I always
We had citrus, we didn't fare so well with citrus, so we've had to replant citrus. Some fruit.
make the suggestion that, or the offer that if you need someone to pick the fruit and transport them, I think the marketplace would be a nice place. Even if it's only a bucket full, the concept of being able to say that this fruit came from the students of COS and now is feeding students at the marketplace. So I will volunteer my time to pick them.
You and I will be going out and public picking fruit. But
No, I have kids that need community service. Just call me. I've got 70 kids. It'll come help you.
I got a truck, and like I said, even if it's a few buckets or a bin.
That's a good idea.
I would love to pick it and then be able to take it to the marketplace.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments?
Oh, great report. Thanks, Luann.
Awesome as usual.
Thank you for keeping it the same every year. That is so nice. Like just the format, we like it. I like it. Thank you.
Luann, I will see you in the morning.
Have fun in the morning.
All right, we are at
At the beginning.
calendar, yeah, just almost. All items listed on the consent calendar considered routine will be enacted by one motion. An item may be removed from the consent calendar at the request of any member of the Board of Trustees or any member of the audience and considered as a separate item. Those items are the minutes of the previous meeting, personnel report, payment of bills, 2023-24 working budget approval, dual enrollment partnership with Lemoore District High School or Union High School District, and out-of-state travel requests for women's equestrian. Any requests to pull any of the items?
Move we approve.
Moved by Trustee Sherman and seconded by Trustee Macareno to accept the consent calendar as published. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. And no abstentions, so it's unanimously passed. On to item 10, which is curriculum, new, modified. Brent, are you doing that?
Yes, I'm standing in for Dr. Lucerno. So, you guys are used to seeing our curriculum report. Thank you very much, first of all, to our GE committee and our curriculum committee, both that kind of serve under the Academic Senate. They do fabulous work, and it never ends. And so this is their recommendations for November. New subject, new course offerings, some course modifications, in fact, several course modifications. Some have to do with reviewing outcomes, some have to do with textbooks, some have to do with materials fees. You can see them all there. Pretty straightforward, just a lot of them. Happy to entertain any questions that you might have. If something sticks out as being out of the ordinary, happy to answer any questions you might have about them.
I look forward to taking the recreation class.
Well, that is in response to changes in our state CalGETSE that you've heard about. The PE, Physical Education Division across the state is taking a huge hit in terms of what's accepted by CSUs and UCs and so forth. And recreation is an area that they would like to move into a bit. So this is kind of the first step in doing so.
Yeah, we have actually, it's funny because in the last year, we've had a couple of people talk about how their kids have taken this recreation class and they thought it would be, and they've gone on some pretty amazing adventures, or didn't realize what they were getting themselves into. It's a little more than they expected. Yes,
a little more involved.
So it's interesting to see it here, just because I've heard about it. I feel like it's popped up a few times.
Kind of like when you take the music class, the history of rock and roll. You think, how fun! Who wouldn't like history of rock and roll? And then it just kicks your tail if you're not careful.
Page 3, the second one down, AJ 117. I was just curious, removed advisory. Is that an advisory board?
No, it would be an advisory on like a prerequisite. Prerequisite is saying you have to take this class before you take this class. And advisory is we recommend that you take this class before this class, although it's not required. Yeah. It sounds like they've taken off the actual advisory they're not concerned about one class leading to another, apparently.
And I was curious on the last couple of pages where the requirements for Associate of Arts and Associate of Science degree, is that comprehensive or is that only related to a specific course?
So that's on page 7 and...
All the way down, last two. So you're on page 7, go to, keep going. More. Those last two. Oh, keep going.
That's the last page, right there.
Yeah, that one.
Oh, so we're moving on this piece?
That's the second piece of the.
Yeah, that's the second piece of what I'm presenting.
Okay.
Are we done with the new and modified curriculum?
So, having heard that, I would make a motion for approval of the curriculum item.
Second.
Moved by Trustee Nunes and seconded by Trustee Cardoza to approve the new curriculum as required.
I guess,
Are we addressing
are
that
these
second part?
two separate, I'm sorry, John, go ahead.
It's-
I
that
think
was
you're
my
asking the same
too.
question I'm
Yeah.
asking.
Are these two separate items? Because there's no action.
We've separated them as two separate, but I can present this and
Let's do that
you can
before
do
we do
one
the
vote.
motion. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So the second piece
You okay
is.
with that?
The second piece is adding ethnic studies as a competency. And I should say that this is kind of step one in a two-step process, because initially we had to, by fall of 2024, add ethnic studies as a competency in our own GE pattern by the fall of 2024, essentially making all students starting fall of 24 or after be required to take an ethnic studies class. And at the time, we thought that it wouldn't be until fall of 25 or maybe later that ethnic studies was going to have their own area within a general education plan. And they've accelerated that, and we actually think that may be required as of fall of 2024. We were aiming for it fall of 2024 anyway. We just didn't know how much dialogue would occur on our own campus, again, in the GE committee, in the curriculum committee, and academic senate. So we didn't want to put an undue requirement on ourselves. So we've kind of broken this up. Tonight's request is to add ethnic studies as a competency within our general education plan. And my guess is we'll be coming back to the board sometime this spring, and that would be effective fall of 2024. I think we'll come back to the board this spring and ask for ethnic studies to occupy its own area of the GE plan, and that would also be effective for fall of 24. So we've made it a two-step process. But I think we'll end up doing both of them effective for fall of 2024.
Questions about? Okay with the maker
Did I
and
capture
a
that
second?
correctly?
to
Yeah,
amend?
I'll move for
the most part.
approval.
I'm never
of,
more than like 90%, so.
The curriculum,
90% and mine 2% would get closer.
the curriculum, item 10 on the agenda, new, modified, and deleted,
Including the addition of
including the attached item.
ethnic studies as
regarding
a
ethnic
competency in the
studies.
general ed plan.
Second.
Very good.
Yep.
Moved and seconded by trustee Cardoza. Right? Yeah? Yes. As outlined. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed, no. And no abstentions, so it passes unanimously. On to the board policy second read.
Thank you, President Lane. This is our second read on these. As you work through them, you can see that anything bold and underlined is new language. The one that I would like to draw your attention to, because we had some conversation about it last time, and that was board member and student trustee compensation. And we did a little homework, and in fact, it wasn't we, it was Megan.
2725.
2725, board member and student trustee compensation. We were listing it as each trustee will be paid $20 for each meeting attended. I think in actuality, we were paying 40, payroll was. And I think it was because of minimum wage standards, or no, excuse me, for benefits. Because of for board members to be eligible for benefits, there had to be at least a minimum threshold. So we've been paying, payroll's been paying 40. So all this first line does is get us into compliance with that. We've also included the not to exceed amount from 120 to the maximum allowed for a college our size, which would be $400 per month. That's the maximum that can be paid per month for a district of 10,000 FTES up to 25,000 FTES. And we've added this language that says if a meeting exceeds 6 hours like it does for our annual retreat, each trustee will be paid $200 for that meeting. So in that month, if there's a regular board meeting, which there generally would be in January, plus a retreat, board members and our student trustee would be paid $240 for that month. So that's the recommendation that we have for the board. Happy to hear your thoughts on it. This also came out of Academic Senate and DGS. Felt like at the time they were seeing $20 for each meeting, and kind of initiated this conversation that should be increased.
Appreciate you looking out for us, brother. Questions on any of those? Any of the changes?
I don't think the student trustee's been paid in the past, have they?
They were still at the 20, so this moves the student to 40.
Oh, because they didn't need to.
Got a big race today.
I know.
All right, entertain a motion to accept as presented.
All board policies?
All board policies at once.
So moved.
Unless there's any that you want to pull out. So.
The second thing that we've done, thank you, Megan, is on 2730, board member health benefits.
Nobody fit that criteria anymore.
Nobody
Good.
fits that
Gone.
criteria
Good.
anymore.
And you took it out.
Megan went and met with payroll. There were some reasons that they did that, and it made sense for then, but it doesn't really make sense now. So we proposed, if you look on the back page there, we've proposed that we essentially take all of that language out and just leave in the first sentence and then the last sentence of that second paragraph, so that it now reads, upon leaving the board, trustees may continue to participate in the district's health benefits program on a self-pay basis. That's the same right that any basically employee has under COBRA. This would allow that for board members as well. And that's what we're practicing. I think that's the deal that everybody has. It just wasn't captured. It was kind of mixed in with this other language that that doesn't apply to anymore.
Good.
Moved
Motion
by
still.
Trustee Sherman.
Still, yeah.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
And a second by Trustee Nunes to accept all board policies as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. No abstentions. It passes unanimously. And with any other board members or student trustee have any items further for the good of the order? All right.
Come on, Maddie.
We stand adjourned. Thank you.